I mean, Ed, quite a few other forecasters have said this. The IMF playing a bit of catch-up here, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big change from their previous forecast. But to be honest with you, and, I remember we had exactly this conversation about the reliability of any forecast right now, to be honest with you, but in particular IMF forecasts, the last time they made a forecast about the UK, which was to say that Britain was going to face the weakest economic growth in the G7 this year. That was widely reported at the time. It was what the IMF was saying, and it was quite a big, it was a big call to say the UK was going to have a recession, and then most other countries around Europe and indeed the rest of the industrialised world were going to do a lot better. But now it's pretty much a reversal of that. They are saying that the UK is not going to face a recession this year. It's going to be 0.4% growth, not very strong growth, but nonetheless a lot better than the minus 0.3%. I think it was minus 0.5% previously. They upgraded it a little bit, and now they've upgraded it even more. And also there will be other potentially economies within the G7 which will do worse than the UK this year. You were just talking about Germany. It looks like German growth is forecast by the IMF to be kind of close to zero. So the UK at 0.4%, as I say, nothing to write home about, but nonetheless a lot better than we previously saw. It's actually no longer the worst performance in the G7 in 2023. So that will be seen as a big victory for Jeremy Hunt, or, well, I mean, a minor victory, but nonetheless a victory compared with where they were before. The big picture, though, the UK pretty much kind of, if not flatlining, then very weak growth for the next few years. Still very high inflation. In fact, they've pushed up their forecast for inflation. They say the Bank of England may have to do, or they're recommending the Bank of England should do more interest rate hikes. You can see Andrew Bailey, that just there is being quizzed by the Treasury Select Committee right now. And inflation's still a big pressure in the UK. But really, it's that big headline number that I imagine most focus will be on. So much noise. I think it was towards the start of this year when the IMF said the UK was going to fare the worst in the G7. Well, that is no longer the case. They say the UK, it's not necessarily going to be going gangbusters this year, but at 0.4% growth, no recession, and no longer the weakest growth in all of the G7.